Hello, hello. I fixed that, right? I hope you can hear it now. Hope you can hear it now. I'm trying to do some TikTok debates. It's called statistics. Look it up. I literally looking up the statistics now. Roughly 3%. Roughly 3%. I'm literally looking up right now. 3%. Right? Roughly 3%. Right? 8-year-old children in the US are identified with autism. Right? And again, 3% isn't 50%. Right? See now you just again you said statistics. Now you're saying not to mention all the parents that refuse to get their child tested when they need to. Again, you're still making an exception, buddy. If you believe that 1 in 36 people is exception, I don't know what you. It really is the exception, right? Literally, it says 3%. Right? It's not. Let's say let's use your number, right? 1 in 36. Is that I don't know 15 out of 36? It's 20 out of 36? Again, it's not I don't know how many maybe when it was still 1 and 10, it was the exception. The numbers no. I uh, you're not proving to me, okay, that majority of parents are dealing with autistic kids. What I mean like peaches, like I'm not saying the competition, right? I'm not saying the competition, okay? But again, I honestly believe that we make it out to be harder than it actually is. Okay, I don't understand why we make it out to be harder. I've said this right. I believe that being a stay at home parent is a luxury that most people can't afford. Okay, I'm not saying that it's a competition, right? But I don't. We need to be more accurate with it. Okay, it's not a I believe people make it a competition, right? Saying just like Jess is trying to say, right? Saying how hard it is. Literally, like I honestly believe, right? It's a luxury that most people can't afford. Okay, to let's say hypothetically, even staying home with your autistic kid, which I don't believe that it's the majority of parents are dealing with autistic kids, but even in that scenario, okay, most people can't afford that luxury. Right? You will have to work. You will have to have two income, or maybe single parents. You will have to, continue to work. You have to continue to work. It's a luxury. So if you can afford it, okay, it's still better than working an actual job. Okay, being a stay at home parent is still better, right? It's still easier. Not easy. I'm clarifying it, right? It's not easy, right? But it's easier than working a job, in my opinion. What's crazy thing is why all this autism are or whatever. I've done both, right? A stay-at-home parent is hard as hell. Okay, tell me why is it harder than a job? What makes being a stay-at-home parent? Lilith, right? Why is being a stay-at-home parent harder than an actual job? I mean, I would love to know. Because in essence, you are your boss. You're your own boss. I spent 40 plus hours talking to people in substance use treatment. Babies might be chiller. Okay. I don't know. here's the thing, right? One, you said you never clock out. There's no days off. I think that's disingenuous because here's the thing. Being a stay-at-home parent, right? To be able to stay-at-home parent, you have to have a partner to help you out. So you're saying that your partner is never there for you? And to say you never clock out, I mean, I kind of little think is ridiculous. One, if your children go to school, that's a clock out, right? So fine. Already at the age of 5, your kids are going to school. Now let's say before that. Before the age of 5, right? Before the age your children are going straight to school, I think it's ridiculous. You think that you need to be by your child's side 24/7. Like they're not gonna play, they're not gonna eat, they're not gonna sleep. Hell, they're not gonna. I mean, back in the day, they watched TV. Now they probably watch iPad. I mean, let's be honest, right? Let's be honest. Most parents nowadays they put their kids in front of an iPad. And I'm not saying that's a good thing, but a lot of parents put their kids in front of the iPad. Now, I don't know how strict you are, right? Maybe you are a stricter parent where no iPad. You are educating your kid 24/7, right? You're educating your kid. Then great. But here's the thing. You're the boss, right? You can choose what to do. So, and you're educating your kid. You're benefiting from that. It's your kid that you're educating from, right? So we have to understand the trade-off, okay? When you go to work, you are a cog in the machine, right? You're a cog in the machine. So literally, someone's telling you what to do. You have to do it correctly. You have to do it the way you're supposed to do it. As a parent, you do it the way you believe you should be doing it. No one is controlling you. No one is telling you what to do. You are telling yourself what to do. So you're your own boss. It is drastically different, okay? When one, you are your own boss. Two, you're being bossed around by others. I agree, right? I definitely agree. iPads do rot the brain, but I'm saying it's disingenuous where a lot of parents are doing that. But like I said, I gave the benefit of the doubt. Maybe you didn't, right? Maybe you didn't. But again, when they're sleeping, taking a nap, because newborns most of the time take a nap. The only times they're awake, right? Really, the only time they're awake is they're feeding or changing the diaper, right? So already newborns are not necessary. Again, I've had 3 kids. I have 3 kids. So newborns, they sleep most of the day. Ridiculous, right? You are unaware of what parenting really involves. That's ridiculous. I had 3 kids. I've had 3 kids, right? So it's absolutely, this is why I said it's not competition, but the problem we're having is that it's overinflated ego, right? This is why people are being disingenuous. This is why people are being disingenuous because they're trying to make it, right, more special than it actually is, right? They're trying to make being a stay-at-home parent bigger than it actually is. Like I said, I'm not saying that it's a easy job. Debating if, I'm not saying that it's easy. I'm saying it's easier. Okay, understand that. I'm saying it's easier. Okay, it's easier than an actual job. One, it's your own child, right? I mean, if you're not going home or staying home, and if you're not yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. If you're not loving to see your child every day, then there's something wrong with you, right? If you're not loving spending time with your child every day, something's wrong with you. Yet, I'm pretty sure most people aren't loving their job. I'm not talking about careers. Even careers are hard too. But most people aren't loving their job. Most people aren't loving to be bossed around, right? Steve, what is up? What is up, my brother? Most people don't love, right, to be bossed around. Most people don't love their coworker. Most people don't love their, let's say, like going to the job, waking up every morning, going to their job. It's also the mental, right? It's the mental load. This is why it's disingenuous, right? Because people don't include that. You enjoy being around your child, or you should. You should enjoy it, right? People enjoy being around their child, being around their children. Already that, right, makes uh, enjoying what you're doing, taking care of your child, is already a big step up from an actual job. Okay. I did a video. I did a video. I did a video of a guy saying, being a roofer is 1,000 times harder than being a stay-at-home mom. 100% agree, right? Construction work? What this is what are women comparing it to? Right? What kind of jobs you think women are comparing to? I mean, like I've seen it, right? I've seen teachers. I've seen women going out to teach. The mental load of dealing with all these children, definitely not their children. I've seen so many women like break down and complain how hard it is being a teacher. All right. I'm Steve. I'm trying to do more TikTok debate. And it's okay. I'm trying something new, right? I'm trying something new. So this is more of an experiment, right? This is an experimental live, right? Roofing is brutal. It's 1,000 times worse than being a stay-at-home parent, right? 1,000 times more is 1,000 times more terrible than being a stay-at-home parent. Okay, and again, like I said, I'm not saying that.
Hello.
Hello, what's up? What's up?
Hey, how's it going?
I'm good. I'm good. What are your thoughts?
Uh, yeah, I mean, I thought roofing as a redhead in July in Phoenix was tough, but you got these stay-at-home moms having to press play on Netflix
Mm.
and fucking they gotta, charge the iPads and shit, dude. It's freaking the Lord's work over there.
I, I agree. I mean, again, I said this. I'm not saying that it's the easiest job, but it's people are not being honest, not being real. It's easier than an actual job, and that's where
If
I'm
you
going
can
about.
do it in pajamas,
Yep,
it's
yep.
not that hard.
Exactly, exactly. So, thank you for just. Oops, oopsie. Oh, man, I don't know. Damn it. Thank you for voicing your opinion, and I agree. I agree. Right? No, there's no real structure. Right? You are your own boss. Again, I'm comparative. Right? I'm being comparative. I'm not saying being a stay-at-home parent, being a particularly in this case a stay-at-home mom, is an easy job. I'm not saying it's an easy job. I'm saying it's easier. Right? It's not harder than an actual job. Outside of when they're like a toddler baby, it's not that insane of a job. I agree. Right? And to be honest, in my opinion, right, I've had toddlers. Why is it? I agree. Why is it even a debate? But here's the thing, right? This creator, this guy is a stay-at-home dad, right? A stay-at-home dad, right? He cooks, he cleans, he does all the women, women gender roles. He also does some of the men gender roles, right? Lawn mowing, car maintenance, stuff like that. But he's being targeted, right? This man is being targeted because he says being a stay-at-home parent is easier than having an actual job. And women are in an uproar, right? Women are angry at this man. He's lost sponsors. He's lost a lot of things, right? He lost a lot of things. He lost a lot of sponsor deals because a lot of women are angry at this man. And I think that's ridiculous. I absolutely think it's ridiculous. How could he insane that that people are, up in arms with it, because I think that's ridiculous. I 100% agree that staying home mom isn't harder than an actual job. It isn't harder than an actual job. And like Drain was saying, right? I think the hardest part when it comes to the kid is probably ages 1 to 3, right? They say the terrible twos, right? They usually say the terrible twos because when they're more hyperactive, right? That's probably a little bit hard. I agree. I mean, like I had multiple 2-year-olds, right? So I understand. But again, they're within reason. Okay. I mean, you could still watch TV. They're running around. They're playing with their toys. They're playing with you're just watching them, right? You're chilling on the couch, watching them playing with their toys. Maybe checking on an iPad, or you have a kids show playing in the background. It's not the hardest job in the world. I'm sorry, it's not even close. It's not even close. Like I said, this is why a lot of these parents are disingenuous. They're being disingenuous. They're being dishonest. They're overinflating their responsibilities. They're overinflating the role. And again, I have mad respect for stay-at-home parents, right? I have mad respect for stay-at-home parents because they are focusing on their kids. They're focusing on trying to produce the next generation. That is amazing. It is amazing that you're trying to, raise good kids. I think that's an amazing thing, right? But again, it's not harder than an actual job. It's not harder than an actual job. 100%. It's not harder than an actual job. Okay? And like, I want to say, why is it a debate? It shouldn't be a debate, right? It shouldn't be a debate. But again, some people's feelings might get hurt, right? Because they think that you're downplaying the role of a stay-at-home mom. You're not. You're not downplaying it. It is a very important job, right? It's a very important, it's a very needed thing. But again, it's, there's within reason. It's not harder than a job. Definitely not. And it benefits you more than it benefits others. Okay. So I just think that we need to have some better perspective on things, right? I think a lot of times we want to, because it comes to women, we want to make it bigger than it actually is, right? We kind of want to overinflate women's egos, and I think that that's ridiculous, right? I think it's harmful, and I think it's ridiculous that we're trying to overinflate women's egos. And you have heard TikTok is now paying their creators less. Yeah, less than half or even nothing. You got to make like millions and millions of views to get at least something crazy. I agree, right? So I think it's disgusting how women got mad at him and it's hurting his livelihood. He's trying to support his family, right? With help support his family because his wife is the breadwinner. Okay, she has the potentiality to make more money. So they decided themselves for him to be the stay-at-home parent and for her to work. But he wants to use social media to help earn more money for the household, right? And because what he said is so controversial to women, women got so mad, hurt and is trying to hurt and attack him, insult him, and all that stuff. So I think it's disgusting. Da, how about grandparents? Well, they're retired, so they have time. And yeah, we don't talk about this, right? I'm not saying all, right? I'm not saying all, but a lot of families, they have grandparents, they have uncles, they have other people that come and help out. So we don't even talk about that. We don't include that. This is insane, right? A lot of these stay-at-home parents, I'm quite sure that they have a community, right? They have parents, they have, grandparents, they have uncles, aunts, whatever, is always there to help them. This is why it's disingenuous. This is why this is disingenuous. And I hate that we thank you, Joshua. Thank you for the love. I think it's disingenuous that because he said something that hurt women's feelings, he got attacked. He got attacked, right? And they attacked his money. And I think that's disingenuous. Joshua, thank you. What's up, my brother? I can't hear you. T, I would love to, right? I would love to. But here's the thing, right? I had to be the one to provide, right? I had to work. I think, right? I had the way where it has to be 2 household income, right? It's a luxury. It's a luxury to have a stay-at-home parent. It's a luxury to have a stay-at-home parent. It's a luxury to be a stay-at-home parent. Yeah, I had no one providing for me to be able to do that.
But how can you say? I mean, I guess I disagree because I feel like it is a job for 2 words: potty training.
I'm not saying it's not a job. I'm saying it's not a harder job.
With potty training again.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Like,
no.
Have you ever had?
You think watching over a child that has not fully developed, that constantly has tantrums, is not a full-time job, my guy?
I don't know what you're talking about. What I mean, like, you're raising your child wrong if it's constantly having tantrums.
Brother, that's a child.
Yes, I've had 3.
That's their mentality.
Children don't constantly have, like, see, that's
so
disingenuous.
They're just perfect. They just do what the fuck you say?
That's disingenuous. You're saying children constantly have tantrums.
That's insane.
It is insane that you said children constantly have tantrums. How are you raising children?
They do.
They're constantly having tantrums.
That's
what
ridiculous. Their ages are. That's what they do, my guy.
Tantrums? What kids are you talking?
They literally
You are raising terrible children if they constantly
and they
are
have
tantrums.
a disagreement with you because they're not emotionally stable enough to make an argument that's sustainable as an adult.
I didn't. Well, we didn't. When I was a kid, tantrums weren't allowed. Tantrums weren't allowed. It's very simple. Like, tantrums were not allowed when I was a kid. Like, if you
no.
I agree,
brother. It doesn't even matter beyond that point. It's the fact that children do have them. There's nothing we can do about that. I never said
children.
You can't just beat some child and be like, "Shut the fuck up."
No. But children do understand fear, right? They understand disclone. They understand that you do not
say that. You didn't just say that, dude.
I just did. This is you're being disingenuous.
Most children are not your discipline
showing tantrums
is fear.
Every single moment. No, this is the problem, right?
Are you
being
serious?
disingenuous? No one said that children don't show any children don't have tantrums, but to say that children have tantrums all the time is absolutely ridiculous, right? And if they do, you're raising terrible children.
They're going to act like children all the time, meaning that there's no
children do not have tantrums all the time.
Place.
Children don't have tantrums all the time. That is ridiculous. And I'm sorry, as parents, you should be able to control how your children act. If they act a line, you should be able to control it. Maybe you have the soft parenting thing where you let your children roam free.
I'm fully about the fucking hand in the belt. You got me fucked up. But nowhere's in this fucking conversation do I think it's okay to think like you're thinking.
And what is that?
That's insane.
What is that I'm thinking?
That you just think it's cool to do whatever the fuck I guess you want to discipline your child.
Bro, you discipline you go about your child how you want to, right? But if you raising children that cannot control their emotions, bro, you're not even listening. I'm good. Hello. What's your guys' thoughts?
My thought is that staying at home, being a stay-at-home mother is just as hard as working an actual job. And I come from a perspective as somebody who hates children. I do not have children. I will never have children. But I sympathize.
Then how would you know?
I know because of, number one, books. You read poetry. I've read poetry from housewives from the 18th century. And from my culture, I have seen things around me via news, reading, education. You get to see other people's lives and learn about other people's lives via education. Just like how you're a man and you're talking about women, but you're not a woman, right? But you know some certain things. You have a stance, although you're not a woman. Same way I have a stance, although I'm not a mother.
I'm sorry, I've been a parent. I am a parent.
Okay, are you a mother though?
I am a mother.
I'm just saying mother.
Independent. I'm
but
not
I mean
asking
stay-at-home
you.
parent, regardless, man or woman. It doesn't matter if it's a
I don't care. You said
stay-at-home
mother.
father
You
or
did not
stay-at-home
say.
mom.
You didn't say parent, honey.
I know
Adjust
this
your
is more.
language.
This is more.
Adjust your topic.
But again, it's no different.
Exactly.
What would be the
Exactly.
difference?
I love how you
What would be the
stuttered.
difference between a stay-at-home father and a stay-at-home mother?
That would be the difference.
What?
Mother and father.
But you're
Mother
a
and
parent. You're a
father.
stay-at-home parent.
Mom is a woman. Dad is a
I
man.
get the gender,
honey. That's,
but I mean,
that's
what would be the
English.
actual difference? Let's
Is
take out the
that
gender.
the mother births? Let me explain to you the difference between. Let me explain to you. No, I'm speaking. I'm speaking.
No,
I can explain
you're not a mom.
to you. I can explain a mother and a father and the rules that come in play between mother and fathers and things that mothers can do that fathers cannot do. No problem. We can go to biology here. We can go to actual statistics here on what mothers do on consensus that fathers can never do. Sure, that's okay. But what you will not do is to undermine the hard works of women because you're a deadbeat or some shit. That's not what you're going to do. So back to my points.
You're not gonna.
And BTW.
I'm sorry. You're not gonna insult me. And I don't know what's wrong with your mic. I'm sorry. What did you? I'm sorry. What did you want to say?
I'm gonna simply say that I'm a mom of 8 children. Okay, and that's hard work. I work every damn day. Okay, and I'll tell you what, my 8 kids, yeah, they're my life. But I'm gonna tell you right now, it is fucking hard work. Okay, my job is easy. The job that I have with my children, and it's not, I can't even say that. Oh my God. I'm sorry to say that. Please forgive me. Okay. I am saying that taking care of children is a full-time job. Absolutely full-time job. Okay. And
listen to my argument first, right? I'm not saying that it's not easy. I mean, I'm not saying that it's easy. I'm saying it's harder. That's the thing, right? I'm saying an actual job is harder than a parent. Why? One of the things is that literally you love your kids. Most people don't love their job, right? You are the boss, right? You raise your house. You go about your household how you believe it should be. You don't do that when you're in a job. You listen to a boss. That's already the clear distinction, okay? And if you're able to have 8 kids, at least you know that you love your kids. At least you know that you love your mom. I mean, you love being a mom. That's the baseline already. So that in my opinion, that already shows me that it's easier because you love doing it, right? Most people don't love a job. And that right there is already the argument right there.
Okay, but my kids are not a job. That's the future. Okay, I have to raise them and help them, okay, to make a better future. Okay, and I will say yes, it is a job. But at the same sense, I will never look at my kids as that because I can't. Okay, I want to look at my kids as it's my future. I want what's best for them and for myself. Okay, I'm a single mom.
You're a single mom. How are you being able to stay home?
Sorry?
So you're not a stay-at-home mom?
No, I have to work. I bust my ass.
Then you're kind of talking about it in a different aspect, right? I'm comparing a stay-at-home mom to an actual job.
Okay, I was a stay-at-home mom.
Okay, was that easier than was that life as a stay-at-home mom easier than your life right now?
No.
It was harder. Why? Why was it harder when you were a stay-at-home mom compared to now that you are a mom and you work? How was it harder?
Because as a mom, you're a nurse, you're a doctor.
What was the difference before? Or you're not that now?
Of course I am.
Well then, but now you add on that you have to work as well. How's when you were a stay-at-home mom? How was that harder than it is now?
Because when you do it alone, it's rough. I mean, you're up all night.
Are you not doing it alone now?
Yeah, of course I am.
So, okay, you're not getting the argument, right? So when you were a stay-at-home mom, right? You had the luxury to be a stay-at-home mom. You didn't have to work. Now you're a mom and you have to work, right? it's the magnitude is much harder than it was before. So already that I can't believe you would argue that.
Okay, because moms, all right, I can tell you right now, your child needs constant everything. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, okay? You need to do everything for that child. Okay, it is a full-time job.
But it's
Okay,
full time, yet you still be able
absolutely.
to have a job. It's not that full time, is it?
Because I push myself
Well, then
and I don't give up.
but you literally proved that's not full time
Well,
because you have a job right now,
I'm a chef.
and is it a demanding
But
job?
then,
Is that not a demanding job?
when she's not being a stay-at-home parent, she then has to get daycare babysitting. So if she didn't do that, then it wouldn't be full time. I don't think you're understanding. And I'm not even disagreeing with you, host. Sorry, I just want to know when I could jump in. Can I?
No, go ahead.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, so I would say if we're looking at a regular job, right, like a 9 to 5,
Mm-hmm.
I would say being a stay-at-home mom is on par with that. I don't think either one is easier or harder. Now, if we're looking at blue collar, we're looking at surgeon, lawyer, jobs that require not only a certain amount of skill beforehand, but are also like high intensity. Of course, they're much harder than being a stay-at-home parent, right? That's like a no-brainer. But I would say most regular jobs, like a 9 to 5, an office job, they're on par. The only thing that maybe would be harder for being a stay-at-home parent is, again, you're around the clock 24/7, but that also depends on who your husband or partner is, right?
Mm-hmm. But I really want people to
Do you
understand,
disagree
right?
with a 9 to 5 being on par with being a stay-at-home parent?
I disagree because here's something that I really want people to understand, right? The one thing that's the difference is mentality. You don't love your 9 to 5 job. You love being a parent. You love seeing your children. Like when your
I do
children
think we gotta
walk,
add in
it's
something
amazing
to that.
thing.
Loving a job doesn't make it any easier or harder. Listen,
It
love.
actually does.
No, I
look,
agree
When you
with
hate
that,
your
Sasha.
job, it's
my
1,000 times
my
harder.
husband is an engineer. My husband is an engineer. He loves being an engineer. He's been a mechanic since he was young, right? The job is just as hard. It's just as taxing. It's all of it. Loving a job does not make it any easier.
But imagine if he
And I'm not a
hated it.
stay-at-home parent.
Imagine if he hated it. You think if he hated that job, you think it would make it easier or harder? If he hated it,
The job would be just as hard. It wouldn't be harder.
I think that'd be
Now,
disingenuous.
it might be harder. It might be harder to keep working at the job because you hate it so much.
Yes.
But then that's also on you for picking a job you absolutely hate.
But most people hate jobs. Most people hate working. You got it. I mean, like this.
Sure, of course.
Yes.
Of course.
That's why.
But you have to work, right?
I agree.
So then that's a fix of your mentality. Being a stay-at-home parent, sure, you love your kids. Do you think they love having to clean up after their kids 30 times, having to discipline their kids 30 times? I would agree that most people don't enjoy that either. Loving a job does not make it any easier. It doesn't.
I would have to disagree.
It still requires the same amount of labor.
I'm talking about the mental aspect of it. People who go to their job every day and hate their job, and a lot of people do. Okay? They go to their job every day hating their job. It only makes going to that job or working in that job much harder. But I kind of want
Not if you're making a lot of money.
I think even making a lot of money.
If you're making like $300,000, you hate being a doctor, you come home and you're happy because you just made a bank.
I think that's wrong because we have a high level of depression even with people who work these high paying jobs. Right?
Well then let's look at being a stay-at-home parent. Let's look at that. There is a aspect of it, right, where they are constantly stuck at home. There is a part of them where they don't feel like they have a life outside of it, right? They don't have a life outside their kids. That does create another certain type of mentality. Like you're saying, like depression, right? Depression of constantly being in your job. There is a certain thing that can be caused from people wanting to like not having a life outside of it, and that was causing depression. Hannah, you go ahead and jump in. I guess that's up to the host.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead and what's M3? Go ahead. You were here for a while. You could jump in.
Yeah, I gotta say with the like I feel like being a stay-at-home mom is a little bit more harder. Is because I feel like because they really don't have a choice. I feel like with the job, you have a choice if you want to like quit that job or get another job. With having a child, you really can't do that. You got to take care of that child. You got to do all this stuff for this child and everything. And I feel like, yeah, like I feel like that doesn't Mm-mm.
I kind of think that's a little bit. I mean, I don't necessarily disagree, but I kind of think that's disingenuous because you had the choice to become a mom, right? You
Right.
choose to become a mom, so you chose that path. Now, yes, you can't. Now,
But
once you
most
chose that path, you
parents
can't just jump
can't.
off, right? I mean, you just
Right,
can't
but most
stop being
parents
a mom.
don't usually, sometimes
I
sometimes sex could
I
be like an
don't.
accident and stuff. Like, yeah.
But you choose them. This is. I mean, like again, I'm not that type of person where I agree with that because I agree. I mean, I say if you have sex, you kind of chose that path,
Hmm.
right? Because sex it's meant to, for procreation, right? Now you didn't
Okay,
intend
well,
it,
okay,
but it
but like,
still
what happened
happens.
if a girl like gets raped or something and they have to keep that child because of their family?
Let's you got to use an exception, right? Majority of
Hmm.
parents, that's not the situation, right? I'm talking about the majority. Now, yes, you want to use the exception, I agree, but again, it's not we're not talking about the exception. We're talking the majority. Yes, you could find exceptions where yes, maybe the mom, stay-at-home mom, is like her kid is crazy autistic. Yes, that probably job is probably harder than a lot. I'm not disagreeing with that. That's why I'm not talking about the exceptions. I'm talking about majority, right? In general. In general, most stay-at-home moms or in that situation, they're not necessarily dealing with the worst of the worst children, okay? A lot of times, you have I said this, I have 3 kids. I've taken care of them when they're a toddler. They could be playing with their toys, maybe watching TV, maybe taking a nap, maybe eating something.
Have you ever
There's a
like
lot of
sat at
time
home
you
and
can
watched
have.
your kids before?
What was that?
Have you ever sat at home and like just watched your kids 24/7?
Uh, First of all, I've watched my kids 24/7 is ridiculous. You're a stay-at-home parent. You make it seem like the husband or your partner is not going to do anything for you. That's again, we're missing context. To be a stay-at-home parent, you have to have a partner that's actually, that's contributing, right? So you think that okay,
Right.
they're not going to be there for you at
But
all? It's kind of ridiculous and it's disingenuous.
It can feel like that though sometimes. If you're in a partnership that has, if the male is the breadwinner and let's say they're a
uh-huh.
doctor or lawyer or they travel a lot or they're a truck driver, like whatever the case may be, there could be very um, high limitations to the exposure that they get to their kids. And so like being a stay-at-home mom, having that 9 to 5 job, like yeah, you get to see your kids as a husband every single day and on the weekends. And I could see that I can see like the points that you've been making because I've been listening for a few minutes. And again, I also recognize that you were like, okay, like there are exceptions.
Yep.
I was going to say that
Right.
I was going to argue that even though you love your kids and you should love your kids, that doesn't mean the duties and the responsibilities are something that you love to do. I
Yeah.
understand like there's kind of that balance of when you're working, you say that like a majority of people hate their job. Okay, sure. I do love my job, but it's a lot. Ironically, I work with kids on the spectrum in a clinical setting. So the other thing that I was going to say is, yeah, I do that 40 hours a week, but then I get to leave that there. I don't take everything, like I leave my job at my job. And I think with being stay-at-home mom, there's a lot more overlap um,
Can I ask if
when
that's
it comes to taking
true?
care of your children.
Can I ask if that's honest? Because I've talked to a lot of social workers, teachers who deal with troubled children. They take that mental load home as well. I mean, that's what I've heard. What women have told me. Women have told me who work social workers, teachers who work with troubled youth. They will still take the emotional load home. So I kind of think that's a little bit, in my opinion, right? What I've heard by other women who work these emotionally stressful jobs, they still take it home. It's not like, oh, these kids' lives, I forget it. The emotional toll, it's over.
No,
That's not
that's
what I
fair.
heard. Right?
No,
So
that's
I don't know.
I would say then to kind of go towards that path is yeah, I'm not gonna say that as soon as I get in my car, I'm not thinking about the kids and like the lives that I'm, influencing and trying to grow and all that kind of stuff. Obviously, like that is going to take a certain toll. I'm saying as a stay-at-home mom that whether or not you take that toll or not, you are still in the presence of your child that you do love.
Hmm.
Mhm.
more often than not. But there's, I'm not going to say escape, but for lack of a better term right now, escape from it. There's no break from that because you are constantly being exposed to your child.
Well, let me say this. I think that there is kind of a break. I mean, like the only time you're having is before 5, right? Before they're age of 5. Okay. After the age of 5, they have school. Before that, I honestly believe that I'm in what I've seen, and I've had 3 toddlers. I love, and I don't know what, to be honest, the things that you dislike about your children or you don't love doing, I can't imagine what. I love staying up late at night feeding my child. I enjoyed it, even though it drained my sleep. I still enjoyed it because holding my child is so exhilarating. Watching my child play, I loved it. Changing my child diaper, I didn't care. I didn't hate it at all. I'm maybe it's just me, right? As a parent,
Right.
I don't know what you could tell me a situation where you hated doing when it comes to your child. I can't think of any, because I
I'm
love
gonna
my
say
child. I
like,
love doing things that when I'm around my child, and
Yeah.
in my mind, I believe parents are like that. I hope so. So I can't see that. Oh,
I feel like
doing
yeah.
whatever you won't like. I can't imagine it.
I
I
feel
thought
like
you
the
made it
only problem. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
real quick, and then you can go. I was going to say, I
Okay.
thought you made a really good point, host. In the early years of raising a child, that like from 0 to 5, there's a lot more demanding things that you have to do because they're not as independent. Once they
Right?
get to that kindergarten age, they're able to have conversations. They're able to, maybe get dressed or,
Mhm.
like have some responsibilities on their own. So therefore, the workload that you were helping them out with for the first 5 years of their lives, it is lightened. So
Mhm.
I guess I was kind of, I work with kids mainly from 2 to 5. So I see, I talk with parents that are like, I work a 9 to 5 job and I come home and I have a child on the spectrum. And yes, so like I do have the extreme side. So I understand that
Yeah,
bias. Anyway,
I'm not gonna disagree. If you have a child on the spectrum, I'm not saying that that's an easier job, because again, the exceptions, I agree. I've never had a child on the spectrum, so I'm not gonna speak on that. But I've seen it, and I agree. Parents that deal with that, I respect you even a whole lot more. I would probably agree that a parent that deals with children on the spectrum, yes, it's probably a harder job. I wouldn't even disagree with that because I honestly don't know, but what I've seen, yeah, I thank God I'm not in that position. But again, I honestly think it's disingenuous because I'm talking in general, right? I'm not talking about the exceptions or the extreme cases, right? I believe most parents have kids that aren't on the extreme spectrums or whatever, autistic or whatnot, and I believe, especially being a stay-at-home parent, compared to an actual job, a kid that's not, whatever, not crazy, not, all over the place, is still an easier job than an actual job. So that's my view.
Yeah. Uh, like I was gonna say like what happened like if the kid gets older and everything and they start like, going through their own little stuff, they start getting into fights, having mental health issues and stuff, and the parent gotta go up to the school and they gotta just sit down, like, because this is coming from somebody that experienced that stuff, like, the kid going through something and the parent gotta go talk to the caseworker, whoever at the school, take them to the hospital, go through a whole 2-day process and stuff. And it's like it's a lot and everything. And I'm not saying like I feel like both of them equal is if both is a hard job. Like with having a job, because most people with having like an actual job, they really have to stick to that job too, because they probably can't get that same amount somewhere else at a different job or something, or they probably just don't got the, I don't know, degree or whatever. But I feel like having being a mom, being a stay-at-home mom, or a mom or a parent too, that's still is just as hard being doing
Please
like that
understand me. Please
and
understand me.
everything.
I'm not saying being a parent is easy, right? I'm
Right.
comparing stay-at-home mom to an actual job. Right? That's the context. I agree. Being a parent is not easy, particularly like you said, right? Dealing with maybe a troubled child, maybe a troubled teenager. I don't disagree, but I'm
could
comparing
you
it to those two.
could you define kind of what the line is for what you define as an actual job?
What an
Yeah.
actual job is, right? You could say whatever. To be honest, I say
Like
I'm comparing
McDonald's?
into two contexts, right? Stay-at-home mom in general to pretty much any job in general. You can even work at McDonald's.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Even working at McDonald's is harder than being a stay-at-home mom because I said this before, right? One of the biggest part that why I have that opinion is the mental aspect of it. You love, in my opinion, I hope you love taking care of your child. Now, like I said, I don't have a child in the spectrum. Well, seeing my son, seeing my daughter, play, laugh. I stay up late at night taking care of them. No complaints there. Diapers, bath, no complaints. Holding her, holding him, no complaints. I saw nothing. But let's say if I go to McDonald's, have to go to McDonald's every day, dealing with these because we also forget, right? A lot of these 9-to-5 jobs, you deal with people you don't like. Not just workers, boss. You deal with clients. You deal with customers you don't like.
Yeah.
Right? We don't equate that. You going home, you deal with a child that, maybe you don't like changing the diaper, but you love your child. Right? Your child isn't a Karen. Okay? It's not a Karen. You just had to deal with that work. That's a big aspect that we're negating. Right? It's the mental load that a job has compared to, let's say, a parent have, particularly a stay-at-home parent. Okay? That's how I see it.
I think with you saying that working at McDonald's would be comparatively harder than being a stay-at-home parent, that's where, okay, people that are being offered these jobs and that are actually working, like, for example, at McDonald's, these are mid to late teenagers. Do you think that they would be as qualified to be a stay-at-home parent?
I'm comparing the job itself. I've seen older people work at these jobs. I'm guarantee you they don't love the job.
Yeah, I guess when you were also talking about that obviously you love to hold your child, you love, helping them bathe and take them to school and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, of course. Like it just shows like it seems like you're a really great father. You really love your kids. Like that there's no disagreement behind that. I just think that it's almost like a deeper issue at that point that the things that people choose to do with their lives for a majority of their lives, when it comes to an actual job, it's really sad to like already have that generalization or majority of, oh, most people hate what they do every single day for a majority of their entire lives, and they don't even get to enjoy their children. That's really sad because what you were talking about, like all the rewarding things that you get from raising a child, ironically, I'm 24. I do not have kids. I'm not married.
Oh, I
so
thought you said you have an autistic
obviously
kid.
I'm just stretching here. But with the job that I have, and the reason why I love my job is because of very similar things that you were talking about. They're not even my kids, but seeing them go from one point to another in terms of growth is extremely rewarding. And do I get paid great? No, I do not. But I love what I do every single day because I'm making a genuine personal impact. And I think that's kind of what you were alluding to, is that when you're a parent, like you kind of have like this automatic love because this is somebody that you made and are going to raise. So yes, it's a lot easier to love what you do when you're doing it, even if it's not preferred.
Wait, can I be clear? You said you don't have a child then?
No.
Okay. Well then, I mean, I think it's a little bit disingenuous for you to understand, the difference between a stay-at-home parent, a stay-at-home mom with an actual job. I mean, I've said this, I think your job is hard. So I've talked to, like I said, I've talked to a lot of, social workers, teachers, and all this stuff. The mental load you have to go through, I give you so much respect, so much. I put you on a pedestal with the mental toll you have to go through. I'm at least what I've heard, right? Women that deal with, the troubled youth, so much respect. But I would say that's 1,000 times harder than being a stay-at-home parent. Right? I honestly believe that's 1,000 times harder than being a stay-at-home parent. Particularly if your child isn't, part of the spectrum, isn't autistic, isn't that, definitely that. Okay. So I mean, like I've heard horror stories from women who work in, social work or teachers, all this stuff. I've heard so many horror
Right.
stories. So I can't believe that anyone could be honest and say that job is just as hard or not as hard as being a stay-at-home mom. It really is harder, right? That's how I see it. Because like I said, it's one, you're dealing with maybe children you love or just this children you created. And and again, like I said, I'm not using the exceptions, right? Your child is well-to-do, not, having difficulties. You're not dealing with the hardness, the difficulties of raising a, mentally ill child. So
Well, and I understand that's not particularly the majority, but at the same time, it seems very subjective. You're talking about, oh yeah, raising a neurotypical child that doesn't have any behaviors, that follows what you do. I mean, yeah, okay, then I guess I would agree that being a stay-at-home mom is easier than an actual job. But that's very black and white because it doesn't even have to be a disorder or a mental incapacity. It can be physical. It can be an accident. Like there are so many other factors that play into being a stay-at-home mom. Like I'm again, like I'm really glad that you were blessed with having great children and you were able to raise them and be proud of them. Like it's not what I'm saying, but like way that
I
my
would
mom
set
and dad
it up
raised me
in a
and
manner of like for instance, I would want one of us take care of like the main home bills and someone else takes care of like utilities, like the soft things and like trips and dining out. Like that makes sense to me. I don't want this 50-50 fucking shit. Us throwing down 2 cards. I don't even do that with my friends. Listen, that for me is always been like, and I used to serve for a long time before I got into like
serve what? What do you mean by serve?
I was in hospitality. Like I worked at restaurants. And
okay, because there's also the military, and I was like,
that's where it came from too. I'm like, listen, I'm not, unless like the bill is like, I don't know, 300 plus, sure. Like let's throw it on a couple cards, possibly, depends. Maybe I had a good day, which I've had good days at closings and I love. Yeah. Anyway, so I've like that's, I just don't split the check.
Sorry,
like
if
I'm really curious about that because your entire platform is based off masculinity.
Yeah. Are you guys hearing another?
And this sounds like a dynamic that's based around that.
I just think it's a dynamic of.
I'm sorry.
It makes more sense.
I don't know why my stream is
free
weird.
up each other's funds in a
here's
more.
Somebody else talking.
Because
right
here's
now.
the thing,
I
just think it makes more sense for someone to be allocated
that's weird.
in one direction so that the other person is allocated in another direction. We're still
seems like another live is like connected.
Yes. Why do we have to, like, for instance,
pause your live again.
I don't want to have to, because first of all that fucking, let me sell you half shit. No. Let's just say
I would never do that in a relationship.
We're looking at our finances.
It's
I would say that the person who probably makes a little bit more. Why don't you hold down some of the bigger bills if you want to?
Okay, but are you talking about long-term relationships, or are you talking about like first dates or under a year type things? What are you talking about there?
No, I'm talking about long-term. I don't do short-term.
What the hell?
I mean, yeah, but you're not just going to jump into long-term, right? You're going to have to go on dates first. So, and this is another one of those. Let's make sure we're on the same page about like what we're looking at, right? So
you're good.
I think that for me, I'm talking about. I have a lot of.
I don't know how to change this. I'm sorry.
Or shorter term things because I guess I have a type. I want long term, but I can't get there with people because they just end up not wanting long term. So How about we talk about short term? What is
Price wars.
Okay. Could you?
I think it's gone now.
Oh God, that was mad annoying. Man, that's weird as shit. I don't. Sorry. Getting back to it. Yeah. If
Yeah.
anyone had to join, any other thoughts? Well, you know what?
I guess
Okay.
what inspired you to have this prompt in the first place?
So what I want to the prompt, right? So this man, right? He's a stay-at-home father, and he made a video saying that, you know what, he loves being a stay-at-home father. It's so much easier than all the jobs he's ever had. So by his own point of view, it's easier. He's done packing plants, all these, these 9-to-5 jobs. He's done so many, and at the end of the day, he enjoys being a stay-at-home parent. And he's comparative to all these other jobs, right? He's done, like, I don't know, chicken, like, the slaughtering plants, all these terrible jobs, okay? And then compared to now he can stay home, cook, he could clean, he could take care of his children. He has free time. I mean, if this man can find free time, I believe a lot of women, or at least, a lot of parents, can find free time as well. And because he says being a stay-at-home parent is so much easier than having an actual job, women, not all women, but certain women that hated this narrative, attacked him and all this stuff, and hurt, sponsorships ended and all this stuff, because, it was a lot of backlash. And I think this is a thing where I more think that we have a problem where we need to validate, or I don't know, push women's egos just because of that. And I think that's a problem, right? Because again, I believe your job is harder. I believe most people's job is harder. Okay. And again, I'm not saying it's easy. Being a parent is not easy, but it's not harder.
No, I get
That's
that.
my main point.
Right? Okay. I guess the last thing I'll say is if we're just talking about one person, specifically being a stay-at-home father, my boyfriend's dad, like he met his wife like early on in the early 20s, and they both had promising careers. She had a more promising, higher monetary, whatever. And so he decided to put his career on pause, and she pursued her career. They got married, they had kids, and I don't think he regrets being a stay-at-home parent. But he has constantly talked about that he really misses, and this is like a whole nother topic, but just in terms of if we're talking about majority and trends and who fulfills what role, typically, and I'm not saying a woman can't, because I'm a huge advocate for women, but typically, statistically, the man is going to be the breadwinner in a relationship, specifically in America. And so that's kind of a more mental game that you kind of have to go through as a man, to be like, okay, like, I'm the stay-at-home parent, I'm the one doing X, Y, and Z. I did have potential for a career, but my wife is, the one that's working that full-time job, outside the house. And so I think that's another aspect where it's not like he hates his children or didn't love them or didn't love raising them, but he also had a lot of like contemplation and reflection within himself of, is this the role that I want to fulfill? And I think that with women, it's a lot more typical to be a stay-at-home mom, and be happy with that role. So I see what you're saying, that, yeah, like if you're happy with what you're doing and you enjoy what you're doing, it's going to be a lot easier. Like, I do agree with that point that you made. But I think that It's I'd love to see the statistics, but I don't even know if it's hard to come up with statistics when it comes to subjective thoughts.
Well, we just have opinions,
Um,
right? I mean, I'm gonna say this, right?
Mhm.
I think, let's say in the case of your boyfriend's father, this is something that you probably could agree with. A lot of people face, particularly women, saying that they lose themselves, right? They
Yeah.
don't feel like a purpose, and I believe most people want a purpose. But here's the thing: I think that's a fault with the individual, where to be honest, if you didn't have a hobby to begin with, then yeah. I mean, if your job was your only purpose, then if you don't have a job anymore, yeah, you would definitely feel purposeless. And this is why a lot of people would feel it with hobbies. But when people don't have anything besides working, then yeah, I'm not surprised, right? Feeling existential or, deep thoughts of it. But again, that's usually the problem with the individual, right? Um, that's a problem that you have to figure out yourself. I'm just I like I said, right? I believe most stay-at-home parents or mom, um, you know, they they're doing it because they love it, right? I mean, like in my opinion, right? No one's forcing a person to stay at home, right? If he, let's say hypothetically, if the father, I mean, your boyfriend's father wanted to go work, he could still go to work and just have the children. Did they have children at their age?
Yeah, yes. I think the part that like comes into that realistically is financial. Especially like that's why I was asking you specifically about 0 to 5 is when it comes to daycare. I mean, you know how much that costs, and like that has to come from somewhere. And so if, you have somebody that is in your partnership and they are working full time, but then you decide to go to work, yeah, like maybe you can
Why wouldn't your
kind
work
of make
cover it?
up for that.
I mean, your partner
Yeah,
could
maybe you
have,
can cover it.
so if you found purpose in work, go work. This is the thing where it's also the flexibility. No one is forcing women or men to stay at home. You could go to work. I've said this, right? Being a stay-at-home parent is a luxury I believe most people cannot afford. And if you can afford it, uh, it gives you so much opportunity where if you could afford it, and let's say the other parent doesn't want to stay home, well, the money they make, it could go to daycare while they could enjoy going to work, right? They're not stressed they have to go to work to provide, but they're going to work because it's their purpose. Okay, right there.
I guess, but that does contradict something that you previously said is that most people that go to work hate their jobs.
Well, that's why I'm using your situation where this man didn't he was purposeless, right? He didn't enjoy or he didn't find fulfillment of staying home. That's why it's more situational. If you don't find fulfillment in staying home, you don't want to stay home. You find more purpose in working. Well, then go to work. Right? That's my thing. Just
And
then go to
that's
work.
where that, sorry.
No, I just feel like because if someone finds purpose in work, then they obviously I would think they love the job, right? They love working. That's the
Yes.
process. That's the basis.
I think it's more than that though, because yeah, you could find purpose in work and want to pursue that, but as a human being and loving your children, there's going to be a huge moral conflict within yourself of like, I love my kids. I think it's very important that there is if we like you said, have the luxury to have a stay-at-home parent to raise them, to pick them up from school, to drop them off from school, to make them dinner, to bring them to sports, all that kind of stuff. And if someone's able to do that, then yeah, it would be a lot more than, oh yeah, like I'd really want to work and advance my career. So I should just do that. It's more than that. It's okay, if I do that, then here's what I'm taking away from raising my kids.
I don't disagree. I 100% agree with you. But my thing is that just like we always talk about, right? About why, let's say hypothetically, women divorce men, right? You don't want to stay in an unhappy situation. I'm more thinking that I promote it, right? I think a stay-at-home parent is a good thing, right? Particularly for children. But if you are unhappy being a stay-at-home parent, it's only things going to make things worse down the line, in my opinion. So I prefer, yeah, I agree. I would prefer someone to, have a partner to stay home to watch the kid, to educate the kids, to do whatnot. But if you hate doing it, there's no, in my opinion, there's no good long term benefit to it, because that could lead to, I don't know, divorces, just unhappiness, arguments, whatever. So my thing is that I would hope if you're a stay at home parent, you actually want to do it, right? You actually like doing it. Right? Again, I'm only using your particular situation.
Yeah.
Right? So that's why I say that. I believe, yeah, if you can afford a stay-at-home parent, they should stay home, and I hope they want to stay home. And in this case, I usually believe women enjoy doing it more. I mean, relatively, right? Compared to maybe men in general, right?
Biologically, statistically, yes.
Yeah. So
Women do.
that's where, that's the case. But again, I also think that the case, maybe the case with the father, he probably couldn't find other purposes, right? He couldn't find
Hi.
other ways. So
How are you?
what's up? What's your opinion?
I think being stay-at-home mom is definitely harder than. Oh, you said isn't? Oh yeah, so it is harder than working an actual job. Yeah.
Why?
Well, first of all, it's like you have no break, and you're like a nurse, you're a chef, you're a maid, you're all these things on top of each other, and you never go home. Like, imagine being stuck at work 24/7 with okay, I'm not a violent person, but when you're with a baby and the baby keeps crying over and over, the only thing you want to do is just fucking throw it in the fucking like at the wall because it's so annoying, but you can't because you love the baby. You know what I mean?
But I honestly believe that's disingenuous, right? Where if let's say a crying baby, I've had 3 toddlers. I had 3 babies before. I can rock
But
a
you're a
baby to sleep.
man.
I've rocked a crying baby to sleep. So man or women, if you can't rock a baby to sleep, I'm sorry. I don't know what. I don't know what's wrong, right? If you can't do it, okay. But I think that's disingenuous to think that all the time, 24/7, a baby's nonstop crying.
It
right?
is 24/7. In my culture,
That's-
men don't touch the baby.
Well, great for your culture. I'm saying in general, if you can't rock, I mean, fine. If a woman can't rock a baby, I don't know what to say. If you can't, calm down a baby, there's something wrong. There's
I just put a little cognac in their mouth. They calm down. But the thing is, that's an old school trick. Your parents.
That's okay. But again, I still think it's disingenuous to say that there's no breaks, because again,
there's like a little break.
There's breaks if you determine it, right? Depends on the age, right? Toddlers, they sleep most of the time. I don't know, 2 to 4,
and then you have housework.
But you choose to do it, right? I mean, if you don't want to do the housework that day, you don't have to. You're your own boss.
Yeah, so your husband comes home and slaps the fuck out of you.
Then you chose the wrong man. Please, I don't.
That's what a real man is. A real man comes home from work and doesn't lift a finger.
Well, and that's what he was.
That's
what he was talking about earlier. Like, yes, there are exceptions, but we're talking about in general.
Yeah,
and then
yes,
also the only reason you think work is harder is because your people work in rice fields all day long, 24/7.
Okay,
and you think it's so fucking hard.
No, this is not that. Now you're just trolling.
She was trolling.
Yeah, that was
trolling.
Yeah, that was trolling. I think that's. But I do want to say that that's a lot of the counter argument is, right? There's no break. I honestly think that's disingenuous, right? I honestly think that any parent, right, who says that is disingenuous, because there are breaks. And like I said, why I say that it's easier than a job, and it's not saying it's easy. You control your situation, right? If you cannot calm your baby, that's ridiculous. Now, I'm not saying all the time. Yeah, there may be a time where the baby's constantly crying, but if the baby's nonstop crying, there's a problem. Okay, that's a problem. That's not normal. Okay, what's normal is that a baby does cry, but you can rock a baby to sleep. You can calm a baby down. That's 100%. Now, after the age of 2, definitely you don't need to do that. That you can calm a toddler down. This is why a lot of people want to use that disingenuous, those kind of disingenuous arguments.
Would you say that, because we talked about how there's a lot more response effort within the first few years of raising a child. Would you say within the first 2 years of raising a child, it's a pretty good comparison of actually having a real job?
No, I really wouldn't, right? Because like I still weigh the heavy factor of you loving it, right? You loving your child as a big contributor to why it's not as easy. I think what's her the last before the last yes, saying
Yep.
that if you don't love, I mean, like whether you love your job or not, it doesn't make it harder or easier. I 100% disagree. I 100% disagree. If you hate your job, it will make every waking moment so much harder, right? Even if you love your job and even if your job is hard, it will still make it so much easier comparatively if you hate your job. So the mindset, the human's mindset, right? Our mentality when we're doing something is so important, right? It will make something so much easier, right? Even if it's a terrible job, even if it's hard ass job, but if you love it, it feels so much easier. So I feel like I said, staying up. I didn't don't even not even going to sleep late at night, right? Holding my newborn, feeding my newborn, and watching it every couple hours, feeding it. I didn't feel it hard at all. I didn't feel sleepy. I
Yeah.
didn't feel it hard, and that's what I equate. Where if you have the feeling if you love this child, you love. It's just the type of love a parent to have their child is such a big factor in making that job so much easier. That's why I said that. No, I honestly believe it's. I'm not. Again, I always want to preference that with the audience that I'm not saying it's easy. I'm saying it's easier because we keep on negating. Most people they're not loving their job like that, no matter what
Yeah.
job you have. So
There's a personal connection. It's
yes,
something that you biologically made with a partner that you hopefully consensually agreed to do so with. I think another factor that I'm curious what your opinion is, not that it's majority, but it is common more so than uncommon, is postpartum depression as a mom. And that's not just mentality. I mean, that's chemicals, that's hormones. That's something that you really have to, be able to address. What's your perspective on that?
Now, it's controversial. I'm not a woman, so I don't know the feelings that are going through a woman during those time. So again, what I'm saying is only assumption. What I assume or what I have no basis belief. I just believe postpartum is I agree it's chemical, so maybe it's not as controllable, but I believe it's the same thing as depression, where I believe it's whether you have the willpower to overcome it or not. I think postpartum, a lot of times women who they don't have the willpower to overcome it and they succumb to it. So I'm more seeing that it's like it's a mental weakness, and I'm not. I don't know what how. I don't necessarily know. Yeah, if you have a mental weakness, a mental illness, or a mental problem, yeah, I agree would make it harder because you probably don't love your child like other people normally would. So that would go along with the feelings, right? If you don't love your child because of postpartum, yeah, it definitely makes it harder. Um, but again, it's like I don't know how it feels, and I don't. I just I don't know. I think it's a weakness that you know that we should overcome. That I think a lot of women should overcome. So I don't know. It's hard, right? Like I said, I don't really I've never felt it, so I can't necessarily agree with it. I felt depression,
That's fair.
so that's
I would say okay. I'm not gonna. I've never had postpartum depression, but saying that you've experienced depression and have overcome that and dealt with that, like anything as like depression, anxiety, those kinds of things. It's not it's not something that I'm like, oh, like I want to be depressed today. I think sometimes it can be portrayed like that on social media. But when it comes to those kinds of things, if you've genuinely been through depression, it's not like, oh, why am I echoing?
I don't know.
I'll turn this down. But it's not like, oh, like I choose depression, like I want to be sad. Like it's not for attention. It's an internal thing.
No, I agree.
And so when it comes to postpartum depression, like you agree that it has to do with chemicals and, you know, like the woman adjusting back to her own body with not having another human being inside of her. There's a lot of extraneous variables that can, you know, come into play. And I don't think that should be. I understand, like, in the ideal situation, okay, yes, sure, like, you've convinced me that it can be done.
Let me can I
It's
bring up
not
something to you? Let's
Sure.
say average people, right? Depressed, right? You're depressed. But do you not still believe that as an adult, right? Let's say, you know, you're a full-grown adult, you know, you gotta live in the world. Even if you're depressed, it's the world is unfair. It's still a sad truth that you have to wake up, go to work, pay your bills, pay your rent, live life, whether you're depressed or not. Right? It's sympathetic, but again, we are adults. We're not children. So as terrible as it may sound, at the end of the day, you know, we have responsibilities in life. That's why I said I overcome it. I push forward, and you have to. Right? It's just the sad truth of being an adult. Right? I don't have my parents, you know,
Yeah.
catering to me and you know, just covering for me. We have to be adults. So that's how I also kind of view postpartum. I'm not saying I'm not sympathetic to it, but again, you're an adult. You got to handle it. That's how I see it. I don't necessarily enable or cater to adults, right? It's your child, it's your life. You got to live it. You got to, you know, take care of it. So the little, you know, difficulties or whatever, oh, that's part of being an adult. That's why I'm not heavily sympathetic with women who has postpartum. I get it. I'm not saying that it's a good thing, but again, people's lives are not, you know, it's like there's always someone has worse life. You just got to move forward. So that's how I view those kind of things. Just get better. That's just it.
Yes, but we can both agree it's easier said than done.
Yeah.
And I think that when you are even in that mindset of understanding, like being mature enough to be able to be like, this is like, okay, like, oh, I was just diagnosed with postpartum depression. I don't want to feel like this. I shouldn't feel like this. This isn't good for anybody. It's not good for my child. It's not good for me. It's not good for my family. That's where it's really hard, because even when you have that recognition of, oh, hi, Brandon.
Yeah.
Hey, how's it going?
What's your thoughts?
I just had 2 points, really. One, when I read your prompt, I was sort of struck that is your question's premise not incredibly subjective? And the reason I say that is, you know, there's an old saying that, like, if you love your job, it never feels like work. And I imagine that there's many, many people out there that love their career and their job, and it feels easy. And there's lots of people in the world who absolutely hate their jobs, and it feels hard. And I'm sure, in turn, there's many mothers in the world that have always wanted to be mothers, absolutely love being mothers. They can't imagine being anything other than mothers. And that's not, since it doesn't feel like a chore, it's the easiest thing that they do. And there's other people, other women out there who it's maybe, you know, not that they don't love their children or don't love but being a mother is not the easiest thing in the world, and they think it's hard. I mean, how is this not the answer to this question?
Can I ask you,
somehow a deeply?
Can I ask you, being like, being honest? your opinion, do you think in general, right? Let's say hypothetically, most people, do you believe most people love their job? Just a
A
guess.
lot of people I know love their jobs. I love mine.
I'm saying
but
in general, right? Let's not just the people you know.
I can't speak for the world writ large. I'm not sure anyone can.
Brandon,
There's 8 billion people in the
Brandon,
world.
I'll say, I would say most people that I know in my little bubble love their job, but in general, and like I've been talking to a host for a little bit, but I would agree. No, a lot of people are in jobs.
Let me put it this way. In my own family, I have 2 sisters.
Okay, your turn.
And one loves nothing more than being a mother. And the other, who's a good mother too, once is like escapes her children any moment she can because they drive her absolutely nuts. Not that she's any better or less a good mom, but I'm like, even in my own family, it's 50-50. So I just have a really hard time. I mean, it's just so case by case and subjective. How can anybody generalize it to being like, oh, it's just this way mostly and that way mostly?
I think because of the reason, in terms of jobs and careers, like that's such a hard thing for, teenagers and people coming out of high school to figure out what are you going to do with the rest of your lives, or even whatever age you are.
Sure.
It's really hard to find something that you genuinely are passionate for that's also going to meet a livable wage of your lifestyle. So yes, I would say it's a lot harder than not to find a job like that.
So I guess I could say, if the question is, what's harder, a job that you hate or raising kids that it's not easy for you to do? I mean, I think is that more what you're asking? Like, for people that...
Well, we could, you know what? We could even do it your premise, right? So a woman that stay-at-home mom loves her being stay-at-home mom. A person that loves working a job. I still think it's still harder. Right? A job, even if you love it, it's still harder comparative to
based on what objective criteria.
Okay, the criteria.
What reality?
Okay, then let me say it right. Based on the criteria that you're not the boss. Based on the criteria that
at work,
in your own home, you control your life. No one's directing you. No one's telling you what to do. Even if you love your job, I mean, or you're not dealing with clients you don't love, or you're not dealing with the unpredictability of, let's say, a Karen coming to work. Even if you love your job most of the days, well, there are sometimes you deal with a client you don't love. Well, or sometimes
you don't
deal with
think there's not countless women. You don't think there's not countless mothers who don't feel like they're in complete control. I mean, that seems to be a reason a lot of women get stressed out about motherhood, is that they constantly feel like they're not in complete harmony at home.
I would honestly somewhat agree to that point, just because just on the opposite
I can hear you.
Okay. Host, I was just gonna say, with being in the home and raising your children and having that love attached to it, I would almost say that there's an opposite point to that, where if let's say they don't listen to you, or if they do something that really disappoints you, I would say that impacts you a lot more as an individual than some random ass Karen at work that is gonna piss you off. So I think
you can have hellion children and you can have hellion colleagues. And you don't know what you're gonna get.
Well, and I was just gonna say that when it comes to your own kids, you want what's best for them, and if you have this ideology of how they want to go and how they want to be raised, obviously it's going to deter from time to time, but if there's a severe disappointment, it's going to hurt a lot more than anything a boss or a coworker would ever do to you, just because of that connection.
Well, I will say this, right?
And
Brandon, do you have a child?
Go ahead, please.
Do you have a child?
No. So I'm an uncle of a lot of these things.
Well, I mean, here's my opinion, right?
Do you?
I do. I have 3. The love that I have for my child is definitely not comparative to the love, let's say, if I have a job that I love, right? I think it's drastically different. Now, even you
That's
say...
part of the reason I don't, is I love my career, and it's allowed me to do what I want to do in life.
That's perfectly great, right? But I'm doing comparative, right? That's the thing where
I
have 2 people who don't actually live that life, who's, saying the opposite, right? And I think that's kind of ridiculous. because you don't understand the
I'm
feelings.
not taking a side. I'm simply saying that I've seen mothers who would tell you that
And I agree,
motherhood is
right?
a
There's
dream,
always
and
anecdotal.
and I
There's
know
always
myself
anecdotal.
who would say I can't imagine having a child. I'm too selfish, and I love spending my money on seeing the world, not rearing children. So
That is great, but again, that's one is anecdotal evidence, and two is like again, I'm just saying that
well,
in
that's all we
general.
have here. Is none
Well,
of us are
I,
working with data.
well, again, that's why I said, you know what? I think in general, right? A parent loving their job compared to a parent that loves their children is, I believe, drastically different, right? I
Well,
mean,
and that's your opinion, and which you're certainly entitled to.
yeah,
But
and
who's.
but
And my only other point was I was only wanted to request up because you really went hard on depression and postpartum depression and willpower and sucking it up and making it through. Well, it struck me that could be said about a lot of different things. I mean, if I looked at you and said a lot of people think obesity is mental weakness and discipline and figuring it out is what everybody should do. I mean, what would you say to me?
I would say you're right. Obesity is a weakness, but here I will also say this: that no one is perfect. Uh, uh, People suffer through things all the day. That's why I'm not. You know what? If like you, if you want to attack or go after my weight, okay, I don't disagree. I don't disagree. I'm not. I don't cry about
I
it.
didn't direct it at you personally. I'm
Well,
just
you
saying we
technically
all
did,
have things we could do better.
and I agree. I agree, but that doesn't negate that.
But
You know what?
but I wouldn't presume that you don't have the willpower to do what I don't know. I think that postpartum depression is an actual clinical pathological condition. I think science has confirmed that for a long time. Some women need, clinical depression is not something that people just wake up one morning and say, you know what, I'm not going to have this anymore. This isn't 1930. We don't have these, notions that, these are just mental issues that women have. Like, there's actual chemical science behind this, is what I'm trying to say.
And I don't disagree. I didn't say I disagree to that. But what I did say is that as adults, that's not a luxury, right? If you live on your own, you can't, tell your boss I'm depressed. So you know what?
No, I
don't have
agree.
to
You got to
work.
get help,
Yeah.
especially if you have children depending on you.
Yes.
I'm not taking that away from you, but I don't think that in any way diminishes, a mother's worthiness that she suffers from her brain chemicals going haywire after she has a child.
And I never said that she's less worthy or whatever. That's why I constantly preference that. I say it's easier or it's not as harder, but I don't mean it's easy. Right? I don't mean being a parent is easy. Okay, I use it as a comparison. So I never.
And then my
discredit.
last question, and I'll let you get your next guest up. But like at the end of the day, I mean, is it just a debate for debate's sake?
Yeah.
Like, is there a point to, like, does it matter if one is harder than the other? I mean, I saw that guy's video and I didn't understand why the internet went ballistic over it. Like,
and that's kind of the point.
Are lots of dads out there resenting going to work to raise it? I don't get it.
No. It was women upset that like you were kind of alluding to is diminishing, mothers. And I believe that it's, to be honest, I don't necessarily think it's diminishing mothers.
Oh, he was saying boo-hoo, being a stay-at-home mom is so hard, blah, 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 blah. And a lot of women were saying, well, ask any dad who's had to, have the kids all day for a couple of days. Your father. Mm-hmm. Is it hard when you've got them all and it's yours and mom's gone or out of town or doing something? Like, I would dare say 9 out of 10 dads are like, woo! And dancing in the hallways when mom gets home. So that's been my experience of dads when they have their kids, To
be honest, I don't think that's a good thing. I think it's I love spending time with my kids. Right? I love spending time with my kids. So any father that enjoys spending less time with their kids, I will question that. And I think that's a different type of father. So that's how I go about it, right? I don't believe that if you don't enjoy fatherhood, if you don't enjoy spending time with your children, and you jump for joy that you're not spending time with your kids, I don't think that's a good father. So
Fair enough. I was just curious. So what do you think? Which I guess I never heard you say. Do you think it's harder to be a working dad or a stay-at-home mom?
I think it's harder to be a working dad or just someone that has a job, whether it's a woman or a man. I think it's harder a job compared to a stay-at-home parent.
Who I'd love to ask is I work at a international architecture firm, and sadly, had two female colleagues who are both wonderful, highly educated architects, and because of where we live, it actually made more financial, and these were women making very good salaries. Because of where we live, it actually made more financial sense in their situations for these women to give up their professional careers to stay home and be with their kids rather than pay for big city childcare. And I'd love to know their take on it because they're the only ones I'm aware of who are in the position of having been on both sides of the fence.
I mean,
one of the
it's great
guests
to
wants
hear.
to know, ask him when he takes care of his kids, is he also cleaning the house?
I clean it when I feel like it. Great thing about being a boss. Right? I choose.
I get what she's saying though, which is a lot of moms on top of being moms are also cooking multi-course meals, multiple meals a day, are also housekeeping. They're also being chauffeurs. Like a lot of stay-at-home moms are doing 4 or 5 jobs a day, not
But
just,
but
making sure their kids
we talked about this
aren't
already,
setting
right?
themselves on fire.
We also talked about this already. You're the boss. No one's forcing you. Right? You could clean. You as a single man, don't you clean when you want to clean? Don't you, cook when you want to cook?
I pay somebody to clean, but
Even that freedom.
I choose not to clean.
Right?
Yeah,
So
that is
even
a
that
choice.
freedom.
Everything is a choice,
Yeah,
right?
that's what I'm saying, right? If you're hypothetically, right? If your boss tells you to do something, you will probably have
But
to
if
do
you've
it.
got 3 kids at home,
They're not ordering you to
especially if
clean.
they're not school age yet, like if your kids are always home every day, you don't get to clean when you feel like it. You clean when they're napping. You sneak it in like when you can. I don't know. I feel like especially mothers of young children balance a lot. And a lot of it isn't there. They just can do this then and that now. And I mean, your premise is kind of like, yeah, they're the boss, but do you think every stay-at-home mom, her day goes exactly like she can schedule her day to be like, and at this time I'll do this, and this time I mean, that's in the 1950s. I think a lot of women in America, anyway, somehow made that work. But in today's modern world, like I don't know, that all seems very June Cleaver to me. That somehow these moms are still, looking beautiful and cooking multiple meals and entertaining their happy children and keeping a spotless house. Like, is that really?
I also think it's disingenuous to think that every day a mother's cleaning her house top to bottom. Every day she's cooking 5-course meals. Right? I think that's disingenuous as well. You're right. It's not like it's 1950. Women aren't doing that. Right? I mean, like, yeah, you may like.
And some women still are.
I don't think majority of women are. I mean, again, it's opinion, but I don't believe it. I don't see majority of women. I would not. I can't believe majority of women are cleaning house top to bottom, cooking 5-course meals every day. That's why I logically would think that you choose what to clean, when to clean, what to cook, when to cook. You are your boss. You are your own boss. Comparatively, if you work a job, well, you're not your own boss. You have a boss. You follow orders. At home, you follow your own orders. If you want to clean, you could clean. If you don't want to clean, no one is forcing you. You could leave the toilet on the floor.
I get that, but at the same time, like I would hardly say somebody who's living in a house that needs cleaned with mess all around with kids that aren't being, fed is in any sort of way a boss. Seems more like a slob to me, but
kids aren't fed. A bottle, later age, we have already cooked, RP made children's food. It's not this. They're not. I think it's a little bit disingenuous because, like, let's say for me, right? When I had my kids, my parents came over, helped with it. They pre-cooked. It's just it's disingenuous to think that it's clearly always just so hard. That's why I just can't believe it.
Fair enough. It was nice to hear your opinion.
Yes.
I'll let you get another parent up here.
No, thank you.
Yep, have a good one.
Later. Guys, no, that is it. I Thank you guys for coming. Thank you guys for coming. I wanted to try this live. I will definitely do this live again, right? Do this topic again. I try to do more topics too. So please stay tuned. I love to have debates or have conversations, right? I'm very respectful, right? I'm very respectful. I don't insult others. So if you want to have a conversation, I'm always down, right? But that is it for tonight. That is it for tonight. Please join, subscribe, or whatever, because I will definitely have more of these. That's it for today. All right, later, guys. Whiskey and mom is very important, guys. I'm only it was a trial thing, right? It was a trial thing where that was awesome. That's awesome that it's a trial thing. I wanted to do some TikTok debates, right? Because TikTok, at least I could have people join. When I had the panel thing, no one's joining, right? No one is joining to debate or whatever. So it's kind of a shitty thing. Whiskey, Alvi, thank you guys for being here. Thank you guys for stopping by. Alpha, sorry, I couldn't talk to you. I was having debate. But in the US, I would say no, being a stay at home is not harder than a job. Yeah. But outside the US, I would say being a stay at home is hard. I mean, maybe. I don't know if you give me an example, but I don't think I think anywhere, in my opinion, anywhere isn't hard. Now, yeah, maybe in a third world country where you have to clean things by hand, cook a whole lot of meals. Yeah, probably that. It is hard for a mother who wants to run them streets. I definitely agree with that. I do not think this is a good comparison. This is apples and oranges. Maybe not. But yeah, guys, that is it. That is it for tonight. I'm definitely going to do more of this, right? So stay tuned. Stay tuned. I will do more of these TikTok debates. I'm loving it, right? Loving that there were people joining the TikTok verse. There's more people that joins these things. So I'm definitely, loving it. So I'm glad I could share